Cheerio. Wonderful vacation. Went to Oak Island, North Carolina. Our house was directly on the beach, which was wonderful. On the second day, the boy and I went out. We had to go walk a little bit, 2 or 3 plots or lots down. And we did it. And we felt like it was forever. Walked back to the house. Well, day 3, we walked straight out right to our house. And one time I said, yesterday it felt like we were walking forever. So you get used very quickly to being right there at the beach. One other thing, because I don't like rambling at the beginning. The boy caught a shark. It was 4 feet long. Of course, we put it back. But it was a lot of work for him. Of course, we all got on the scale last night when we got home. The boy lost some weight. So did I. I'm trying to gain weight. Wouldn't it be a lot easier if you were trying to lose weight, that every pound you lost went to someone you disliked? Much easier. You have real motivation. Okay, I'm done rambling. Only 1 minute. I'm going to talk about Mackenzie Shirilla. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. You may be able to smell the trash she emits from wherever you are, even if you're in Australia, because I have a few people from Australia that watch. Can you smell her down there? Pure white trash. And has nothing to do with race. I can call, if black people are being trash, I still call them white trash. She was born August 4th. She just had her birthday. She turned 21. Isn't being in prison on a life sentence a great way to spend your 21st birthday? Holy goodness. You probably know what this girl did. You've heard of it. And since her birthday just happened, it's all over the place. She got into her Toyota Camry with her boyfriend 3 years older. She's 17. It's the day before her 18th birthday, which I believe had something to do with this. In her mind, she thought, I'm either going to die or not, but regardless, I'll be charged as a juvenile, so this is all done. And then a friend in the backseat who just simply wanted a ride home. And the worst part about that is he had called his mother and asked for a ride home, and she said, sure. And Mackenzie stepped in and said, oh, I got you. Don't worry about it. Ugh. Don't ever get in the car with a drunk driver. You guys, the worst part? She wasn't drunk. Apparently, she had a whole bag of mushrooms on her. I've never even seen mushrooms. And she had a little bit of marijuana. I'm jumping ahead. When her parents are in the hospital finding out what happened, both of her parents right away say, well, obviously the drugs probably belong to one of the guys. I'm going to get to this. Parents of the year. Ugh! Okay, let me see where I am. Oh, her legal team is now filing a second appeal. Her first appeal failed. They also filed it 1 day late. So I'm not really sure why they're able to file a second appeal. I could find out, but I won't. And in the new second appeal, her defense team is saying she had a neurological episode. Sorry, I'm currently living with a neurological issue, and crashing my car with other people in it into a building would never even cross my mind. Something just popped into my mind. Remember, brain issues. I'm almost offended that she would say that. I haven't driven a car since December 2nd, and it's very, very difficult. The next time you get in your car and just turn the engine on, think, man, I am lucky. Okay, garbage. And I assume they've already given her MRI, and that'll double the fact that she has no neurological episode. This girl is insane. She's also a child who was raised with parents who had never heard the word no at all. I'm just going to get on a tangent there. She did have her seatbelt on. Neither boy had their seatbelt on. Now, I'm not surprised the kid in the back seat didn't have his seatbelt on, but I'm very surprised that the guy in the front seat did not. Plus, doesn't your car go ding, ding, ding if the people in the front seat don't have a seatbelt on? Maybe that stops after some time. I have no idea. If you know, let me know. 2 weeks prior to this incident, the day before her 18th birthday, she had threatened people, told other people, well, I'm going to crash the car. At one point, previous to this night, the 2 guys who died were Dominic Russo, that's the boyfriend, Damian Flanagan. So you guys say a little prayer for those families. Say a prayer for those guys, but pray for their families. I cannot even imagine. I saw something recently where the police were going to the home at nighttime to tell the family that their son had died. And they say it, and the mother is horrified. And she said, "Why couldn't you be here to tell me he was arrested?" And of course, wouldn't you much rather your child be arrested versus dying? And you think of the other side. Oh, I sure don't want the police to come to my house to tell me if my child is arrested. But goodness. Oh, I thought Piper was here. The whole thing is just heartbreaking. You're never supposed to have your children die before you die. Okay, and I told you the threat. Something else I've just seen, and I'm trying to find more, and I can't find it again, was she was very into voodoo. I don't really know the real voodoo. If you do know, let me know. If you're practicing voodoo, tell me. And she did have a doll. What are those called? That she stuck pins into. And what's funny is I have a couple friends, and even my family, I say to them, "Oh, you're not going to like where I stick the next pin," so they all know. The two boys were dead immediately. The police all know. You can even go and get the body cam from the actual scene, and you hear the cops are horrified. They can't believe what they're seeing. The car doesn't even look like a car anymore. They had to cut her out of the car, and they ended up medevacing her to the hospital, and she had surgery right away. When the parents came to the hospital to find out what happened, the police officer says, "Well, your daughter's in surgery right now." Apparently, she snapped her femur all the way in half. And isn't your femur that big, large bone that holds your whole body up and handles all your weight? So it's a pretty important bone. Her parent, the cop tells them about the shrooms and the marijuana. And what do the parents do? Oh, well, that definitely was one of the boys. Those weren't her drugs. And the police officer says, well, the one was, in her pocket. And I believe the mother says, well, she must have been holding it for Dominic. They can't accept that this girl has done anything wrong, has drugs on her. And the funny thing is, at one point, the police officer says about the boyfriend, "Oh, I've met him before, and I've heard about her." So the boyfriend, I already said, 3 years older. She's living with him. It's right after her senior year. So her parents allowed their 15-year-old daughter to move in with this guy. This guy's family owned a few houses, and he lived in one of them. But Parents of the Year, Mom and Dad Shirilla, said, "Yeah, go on, honey. You can go live with him." She also had criminal tools with her in the car, and I had to look it up. And it, for the most part, said criminal tools. It's such a vague thing. The police officers can charge you for anything. So my pencil is a criminal tool. So that's kind of a little bit of a scam. And I assume that the police officers do that so that when the prosecutors are trying to make a deal, they can say, okay, we'll drop the criminal tool charge, they offered her. See, the whole beach is taking more of my brain out, and the health brain. She was offered a plea deal because right before her trial started, they said that. Sorry. They say that. You sure you don't want a plea deal? You're not accepting it? And the defense says, we are good to go to trial. They offer you a plea deal and you're facing 2 counts of life in prison? Take the plea deal. She's an idiot. She's also a little bit of a skank. If you go and see any of her videos, and I'm not even talking about the ones post-accident, she's dressed like a little floozy. And remember, she's 17 years old. She has a fantastic body. I mean, she's stick skin. Stick, is that what you want? She's a stick, and there's skin on top of her. I don't think she's very cute. She has long hair. It may be that I can tell her character from what I'm seeing, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. In the hospital room, the police officer is trying to guess who the other person is, and they're just throwing out names. And why are you asking the parents who could be in the car with their daughter? Okay, I'm going to go on a little tangent now. Did I already say she turned 21 yesterday? Didn't everyone turn 21 in prison facing 2 life sentences? That was always my dream. Goodness. The first chance that she'll be up for parole is 2037. Oh, Lord willing, I'll be 67. I wrote how old she'll be. Okay, plus 25 years. She'll be 46 years old the first time she goes up for parole. In Ohio is the third state with the lowest you get out of jail parole rate. The other two, South Carolina had 13% of first-time parolees actually win, and Alabama's 10% of first-time parolees. You will win. Right before the sentencing, her attorney, which her parents paid for, he's not a public defender, well, that was expensive, stands up and says, we all know the minimum, okay, they were trying to have her sentence at least go concurrent. Consecutive means you have to spend the first 15 years, and that's what they do in Ohio, 15 years to life. And then you have to begin the second 15 years of 15 years to life. That's consecutive. Concurrent means both of the sentences, the time served in prison, all count together. And I do not for a moment think you all are ignorant, but just explaining in case someone doesn't know. Well, right before the sentencing, her attorney says that. We know in Ohio, it's very unlikely she will win the parole board's love the first time she's out. In Ohio, you see the parole board every 2 years. So let's just say she's definitely not going to win it the first time. Well, she's getting 17 years now. So I must have just messed up my math. She'll be 37 the first time she goes up for parole. Remember, I do have a neurological issue, so I can mess up. And I'm also not going to drive my car into a building. I'm going to put little parentheses here. There were times she was so crazy, her boyfriend, Dominic Russo, would turn his phone on and start recording her. And she's like, you let me into this house right now, or you know what will happen. You let me into this house, or I'll key your car. This girl was nuts. And only 17, and that nuts. That's bad. Bad. They had been together 3 years. I'm not sure why he hadn't dumped her. Oh, maybe he loved his voodoo doll, and he was trying to get her to make it better. Where am I? You know what? Before all of this, she had gone to a church building and sprayed it with graffiti. I don't think voodoo people enjoy the Christians very much. Nuts. Okay, did I already said that? Okay, and part of the things that the parole board looks at, are you going to do it again? Well, it's not going to do it right now because she's not driving. Before you went to jail, your criminal history, and she had 0. However, in the hospital, while the police are talking to the parents, they acknowledge that they've met these people before. So they have had interactions with she's a skank. I don't even want to say her name. It should have been, instead of Mackenzie, it should have been Skanksy. Skank. In all her videos, she has almost 0 clothing on. Side note, am I still on my parentheses? Or Jessica Simpson, I think. She's the one that, the tuna, or the chicken of the sea or something. I really don't know who she is. I'm not really sure why she's famous. She just went and celebrated her 45th birthday or something, and she's wearing a dress made of chains. And her figure's nice. Put some damn clothes on. You're not setting a good example. That's the one. I can't stand this. All these women, they think it's so cool. Oh, look, I'm naked. I have a great body. Good. Save that for your husband. Winches. Sluts. Oh, I only had 1 page. 17. And dressed like a floozy. Okay, well, now I'm going to get to my point. My main point. No, I'm going to back up. So you're going to have to keep watching to get to my main point. I may have forgotten what I was just going to say. Who knows? I told you she graffitied a church. In my trip home, in the back seat from vacation, so everyone's tired, I listened to a channel called Phone Calls from Prison. And it uses the acronym. So you can just type PCFP, and I believe you will find it. But if not, type in Phone Calls from Prison. The first call I listened to, at 9 minutes, I had to stop. I'm getting physically, I can feel it just thinking about it. These two women, mother and daughter, are talking to each other the way two girlfriends, way too intoxicated, would speak to each other after they had spent 10 hours with a whole bunch of Navy sailors. I'm not joking. Every other, effing, you know, she's a bee. I'm literally, I can feel it. Just listen. I ended up listening to a little bit of a few more. I couldn't handle it. This is a child who was never, ever told no. On her TikToks, I think, I'm not on TikTok. One TikTok, she says, I'm just the kind of girl who can do a lot of drugs and not die. Well, her mother's on TikTok because after she's locked up, the mother's writing for her, and the mother has a TikTok account because, someone had written that she was a murderer, and the mother was just, what? And so she went on and typed about that because they bring that up in the sentencing. There's a song where one part of it, I told Sal last night, you love me so much, you would die for me. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know. She posts that as a TikTok. I'm not really sure how TikTok works. Are you supposed to, you post what you're doing and then you find a song that goes with it? I'm not sure if you can talk on TikTok. If someone sends me something, I know there are words there. But that is the song she played. You know, I'm the kind of woman you would die for. And she played this post-car accident. It wasn't an accident. It was 100% intentional. It was in a business park. Dad's right there. In a business park that she had driven to, I believe the week or the 2 weeks prior to this, 7 times. Why are you in a business park? You just graduated high school. I never saw what her plans were after high school. So she wasn't admitted to OU or the Ohio State on a full ride because of her grades. I saw nothing about what she was doing. Her family's pretty wealthy, and she sounds like Prince Harry. My father cut me off. Dude, you're 38 years old. He's not supposed to support you forever. And we learned later, that was a lie. He had actually continued supporting them that first year. But, my dad's not throwing me $2 million a year and paying for my spouse's wardrobe. And that wasn't even included in the money. He gave them separate money to pay for Miss Markle or Miss Sussex, their wardrobe. Okay. Side note. I'm going to get to the prison thing. But, spoiled rotten, plenty of money. I did see somewhere, she had a gas card. So she didn't have to, when I was driving, gas was 74 cents a gallon. But I'm sure I had to earn it. My parents were throwing money at me and I wasn't working. But she had credit cards. If she wanted something, she bought it. And her parents paid the bill. Her parents. I want you to go and listen to a couple of phone calls with her mother. It'll make you sick to your stomach. Now, you can't play it where there's anyone else, or especially children, because the children would learn words they'd never heard. At one point, the graffiti church comes up, and Mackenzie's like, oh, I didn't do that. And the was like, I know. GD it. I can't believe they're accusing you of it. The Mackenzie could say to her mother, in an hour, my hand is going to fall off, and it's going to be reattached 30 minutes later. And the mother would say, okay. And then come back in a little while and say, Mackenzie, how did that whole hand falling off and reattaching thing go? And Mackenzie would be like, it's great. Look at it, Mom. It doesn't look like anything happened. And the mother would look at her arm and say, you're a magician. The reason I believe the graffiti thing is because she was into voodoo. And I looked it up. And one of the things about voodoo is you cannot follow the Lord. Christianity is no. Apparently, so this little girl is very, very popular in prison, the same way she was very popular in jail, because her parents just keep her commissary, her money, her books, or her bank, full. And so has no worries. In one of the jail calls, and she has not been in jail very long, you can hear another inmate in the background saying something. And then you hear Mackenzie saying, shut the F up. I don't need to hear you. Mackenzie's not scared at all. If you go to jail, Aren't you scared the first time? I mean, you have to be a little uncomfortable. Not McSlutzy. Oh no. Okay, so now McSlutzy is in prison in Ohio. How do inmates, make videos? She's talking to her mother about, oh yeah, she texted me. How do you text and make videos in prison? On an assumption, they have some cell phones. Legal. I assume these cell phones do not, connect to the internet. I would assume you can't play Golf Clash or Solitaire. I had no idea they had cell phones. Well, she just put out a prison video, recently, and it shows her girlfriend. She's a black woman, makes no difference, but she's a woman who's probably 3 times the size of Mackenzie. I'm guessing Mackenzie's about 90 pounds. This woman's 250 or 300 pounds. She's got a whacked out hairdo. Michelle Obama recently on one of her podcasts had a hairdo where it looked like she had put her afro into 2 tomatoes up here. It was not a good look. That's similar to Mackenzie's girlfriend. Okay, if you have children, plug their ears for a moment. Apparently, McSlutzy was just, I don't know how to say it, run through a train with 3 other women. I'm slightly embarrassed. I had to look it up. I had no idea what it was. It's not a nice thing if you don't know. Well, it's probably nice for them, but apparently McSlutzy has just fully adapted to prison. She's missed popularity just like she was in high school. And remember, her mom's keeping her commissary packed so she can do anything she wants. She hasn't gained any weight. Looks the same. But she's adjusted to prison exactly the way you would adapt to a new school or a new neighborhood. She's living life. She's a great deal. She has 0 responsibility. Someone else cooks for her. Someone tells her when to wake up and when to go to bed. Did I already say what the prison rules are to get parole? She'll have her first parole hearing in 15 years. I did say that. Her attorney said very, very little chance she's going to get out. So in 17 years is her first chance to get out. Well, they look at a few things, the parole board does, before you even walk in and sit at that desk. Did you see the movie The Men Are in a Prison, Shawshank Redemption? You remember when, I can't remember the guy's name, not the white guy, but the black guy every year goes into the parole board, and they show it denied. And then the last one, it's accepted. And he doesn't think he's ever going to be accepted. He's shocked. And he gets his way down to the pretty south, where the other guy who had dug out behind okay, I need to be quiet. She's definitely not going to get out the first time. They look at your criminal history, which she had none. She could have had lots, but it was juvenile. So it was all, expunged, I believe. But they look at your behavior in prison. She's only been in prison 1 year now. Now, yes, she was locked up in the county jail, the Cuyahoga County Jail. It's Cleveland, Ohio. So she's really only been in prison 1 year. She's gone to the hole, from what I've seen, 4 times in her 1 year. So each quarter, she gets her little trip to the hole and gets to sit, in the dark, have no one to talk to. And at the first time, it didn't bother her enough, so she did it the second time. Apparently, she's in a low security prison, and the people in charge have said, you have to stop this or we're sending you to the higher security prison. I checked today. They have not moved her yet. I told you she did the train thing. My goodness, it almost embarrasses me. They look at your behavior. They see if the DA, district attorney, recommends you be released. They go to the victim. So the victims, write a letter. I assume write a letter. I don't know if they show up. Each time the convicted person is up for parole. So the victim statements are not going to be very nice. I'm going to go back to my parenthesis. Before she was not arrested until 4 months after the murder. And they needed to investigate things. They take the black box from your car, which really bothers me. They're following us too much. And yet I allow them to follow me by carrying my stinking phone around. And then they were, because of her phone, which shows everywhere you've been, they were able to see that she had gone and run the route 7 times prior to the night she did it. I fully believe she did it intentionally on her 17th, the day before she would turn 18, believing, and it was 5 o'clock in the morning when that happened. So she had still, 18 hours to do something illegal and still be charged as a juvenile. That's how they found out she had been there 7 times. She never once touched the brake. She had her seatbelt on, and had she not had her seatbelt on, she definitely would have gone. At one point on that phone call, she's like, I can't believe they saved my life just to put me in prison for life. Bimbo. Her head was lodged between the steering wheel and the dashboard. And I told you they medevaced her out here. If I ever get to fly in a helicopter, I sure hope it's not because I've been in a car accident. My goodness. So, Bimbo, I'm probably going to do a little more research and maybe do another video. You know me. My new computer has arrived. Apple has classes. You can go sit in their store and they'll teach you. So I'm going to try to do that. I know nothing. Hey, have you guys ever heard of this Zen? I bought it today because I read an article, and we'll see. I read an article that said the kids are getting addicted to it, so I thought, well, let's see if it gives me any energy. I'll let you know if it does or not. If you've tried Zen, let me know, because I haven't tried it yet. I'm still a little scared. I just purchased it. We'll probably look at it for a couple days. Tell me what you think about Mackenzie. I watched an interview, like Channel 7, the first time her parents speak in public. And I showed her parents in my thumb tab, or my thumbnail. No, she should not be. No way. She shouldn't be in there for murder. And then the news reporter says, well, should she be in there, for vehicular homicide? What's her dad say? No. I put it in slow motion, and it's no. And the mother, still horrified. Can't believe this. If they have any other children, I hope that, I assume they're probably older now. I hope they've learned it's okay to say no. We were in a restaurant the other night, and the boy only drinks diet soda. And the server came up, and he said, would you like another Diet Coke? And what did the boy do? He looked right at me. Am I allowed to have another Diet Coke? It's called respect. Don't be scared to tell your children no. Okay, I'm going to get on rampage about this. Tell me what you're thinking. If you've gone on vacation, let me know where you went, because I have to start planning next year's vacation, and I think I want to go to Alaska. I have been to Alaska before, but the other two have not. Okay. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. It's gorgeous here in Washington, D.C. Toodaloo.